Hello fight fans, thanks for joining us at MMA Insider. Before we get rolling with today's news, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing. Now let's uncover the latest happenings in MMA. Starting off, Francis Ngannou KOs Renan Ferreira. Moving on, Max Holloway believes Alex Pereira might be 2024 Fighter of the Year, even with a UFC 308 title win. Next, Raul Rosas Jr. explains why he's willing to take an unranked opponent next. Lastly, Tom Aspinall reveals massive UFC announcement is on the way. Former UFC star Francis Ngannou is making his much-anticipated debut in the PFL, marking his return to mixed martial arts for the first time since January 2022, when he defended his UFC heavyweight title against Cyril Gane. At 38 years old, the Cameroonian powerhouse showcased his formidable skills against a top-class heavyweight in Ferreira. In an electrifying performance, Ngannou overwhelmed Ferreira, finishing the fight in just 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Despite facing a brief scare from a triangle choke, Ngannou maintained control throughout, delivering a dominant victory. After the fight, Ngannou, draped in the Cameroon flag, expressed his emotions while addressing the crowd. Choking back tears, he dedicated the victory to his son, Kobe. "I only took this fight because of him. I hope people remember his name." Max Holloway believes UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira is likely 2024's Fighter of the Year. Max Holloway is set to return in the main event of UFC 308 later this month in Abu Dhabi. Back for the first time since a knockout win over Justin Gaethje in April, Max Holloway will return to featherweight to face Ilya. Ilya famously won 145-pound gold in February with a stoppage victory over Alexander Volkanovski. Speaking in a recent interview with Kevin Iole, Max Holloway was asked about his UFC return. There, the Hawaiian was questioned about the 2024 Fighter of the Year. Many fans believe Holloway can win the ceremonial title with a potential victory over Ilya later this month. However, he doesn't seem to agree. Instead, the UFC featherweight named Alex Pereira as the likely Fighter of the Year. For his part, Alex is fresh off his return to the cage in Salt Lake City earlier this month against Khalil Rountree Jr. There, the Brazilian scored his third win over the year with a fourth-round stoppage against Khalil. While Max Holloway is aware of how big beating Ilya and Justin Gaethje is, he believes Alex might have him beaten. Given the Brazilian's ability to step up on short notice several times, Holloway can't help but also be impressed by Alex Pereira. However, Holloway added that he's used to not being in the Fighter of the Year conversation by now. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know that I would be that. The way Alex Pereira took fights, I mean, he's the fastest guy to defend his title, right? With 3 title defenses. That's a hard man to beat. I mean, every time I'm in the talks for being Fighter of the Year, somebody's having a crazy I think Alex Pereira has got that win in the bag already. Raul Rosas Jr. has explained why he's still willing to take an unranked opponent in his next UFC fight. As we know, Raul Rosas Jr. is one of the most exciting young fighters on the planet right now. The 20-year-old burst onto the scene a few years ago, and through his resilience and determination, he's been able to carve out an interesting run for himself in the UFC. He's had 5 fights since his victory on the Contender Series, going 4-1 in that time. While some feel as if he's got a long way to go before getting to the elite level, others are interested to see how he would fare if given a far tougher opponent. Rosas Jr. himself, of course, wants all the smoke. With that being said, he noted in an interview from a few weeks back that he wouldn't mind taking on another unranked opponent. "If I would have went out there and got the finish, I would for sure have a good argument to get a top 15 opponent. I want a top 15 opponent, but if my next fight is not against a top 15 fighter, I want somebody that the UFC would be like, if you beat this guy, we'll give you a ranked opponent next. But either way, I want to be that close. I just want fights that will get me closer to the belt. I don't want to fight somebody that I'll just beat and I stay in the same spot. I want to beat somebody that will get me way closer to the belt." Former interim UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall has something in the works. The British fighter hasn't been seen in the cage since a title defense in Manchester in July. In the co-main event of UFC 304, Tom Aspinall handed Curtis Blaydes a first-round knockout loss. Following the victory, the interim champion called out Jon Jones in his post-fight interview. However, his plea went unheard. Instead, the UFC booked Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for next month in New York City. As of now, Tom Aspinall is expected to serve as the backup fighter for the main event. Ahead of the contest, both Jon and Stipe Miocic have teased that the heavyweight title fight will be their last. With that in mind, Aspinall is unsure if he'll be needed for UFC 309. However, Tom Aspinall also has something in the works. Appearing in a recent video posted to social media, the interim UFC heavyweight champion discussed his upcoming backup role. However, Tom Aspinall might be fighting someone soon. In the video, the British fighter stated that he's working with the UFC on something big right now. While Aspinall can't say what exactly is in the works, he hopes to let fans in on the secret soon. Until then, he's keeping himself busy and training if he needs to step up. Yeah, I'm just training to be the backup fighter right now and getting myself fit. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but I will be ready for if it does. We've just spoke to the UFC and we've got some plans in place. I can't reveal it right now, obviously, because it's a secret, but there is big news coming soon. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Your dedication and support fuel our passion to bring you the latest and greatest in the MMA world. If you enjoyed today's news, please give us a thumbs up and share it with fellow MMA fans. Remember to subscribe to stay in the loop with daily MMA updates. We've got a lot of exciting news, interviews, and analysis coming your way every single day. Your engagement helps us grow and serve the MMA community even better. Once again, thank you for being an integral part of our daily MMA journey.